Hey everyone, Card here, and in this video we're going to be going over the basic functions and how to use your LiPo battery charger. The chargers we recommend in the course are the HTRC chargers. And we're going to be going over both the dual port charger and the single port charger, which have very similar functionalities. The HTRC C204 Duo charger has a dual port, which means there's two ports for charging two batteries at the same time. This is a great little charger because it takes an AC input that you can plug directly into the wall. So to turn it on, you simply plug it in, flip the power switch in the back, and then from here we'll show you the basic functions and features. So this charger can charge several different battery types. It can charge lithium polymer batteries, nickel metal hydrate and NiCad batteries, and lead acid batteries, or your standard 12 volt car batteries or sealed lead acid batteries. But for right now, we're just going to stick to the lithium batteries. Now to navigate the menus, you've got four buttons. There's a stop button, an enter button, and then the plus and minus to scroll through the different options. So we're going to go ahead and hit select for the lithium battery by hitting an enter button. And the same buttons do the same functions on both channels. So we've got channel 1 and channel 2, which are channel 1 and channel 2. Now once you're in the LiPo charging menu, you can scroll through the menu to see the different charging options. You've got fast charge, storage charge, discharge, and balance charge. The two main ones we recommend are using a balance charge. Generally, it's a good idea to always balance charge your batteries. And then storage charge is when you're not using your batteries, it puts them in a storage charge so it keeps them stable when you're storing them for a long period. So we're going to go over to balance charge and I'll show you how to connect a battery. First, you want to plug in the balance lead. Since this is a 4S battery, it'll plug right here in the middle. You want to make sure you plug it into the correct port, and then you plug in the main power lead. Next, you're going to want to set the charge rate for the battery. Since this is a 1300 milliamp battery, you're going to want to charge it at 1C, which is 1.3 amps. So to do this, you first select LiPo balance, then you hit the enter button, then you hit it again, and from here, when this is blinking, you can adjust the charge rate. So we're going to set it to 1.3. That'll give us a 1C charge rate, which is the ideal charge rate for most of your batteries. To start the charging process, you push and hold the enter button. It'll do a battery check, and then hit enter to confirm. That starts the charge process. Now from here, if you want to look at the individual cell voltages, you can hit the plus button. Here it will display the voltage of each cell in the battery. Now since this is a dual port charger, one of the neat features is you can charge two different types of batteries at the same time. So on channel 1 I've got the 4-cell charging, and on channel 2 I'm going to set up my 6-cell battery for charging. So since this is a 1500 milliamp, I'm going to set the charge rate to 1.5. Plug in my balance lead, and then plug in the main power lead. I'm going to go ahead and push and hold enter, then hit enter again to confirm. And then again from here I can look at the individual cell voltage by hitting the plus button. As you can see up here, it only displays 4 voltages because this is only a 4-cell battery. Down here it shows 6 different voltages because this is a 6-cell battery. Typically it'll take between 35 to 45 minutes to charge a battery, depending on how far it was discharged or if it was at a storage charge. When the charging is complete, the charger will beep several times to let you know that it's done. All you have to do is simply unplug it and you're good to go. Generally, charging LiPo batteries are pretty safe, but it's a good idea to stay in the same room so you can check on the batteries every once in a while, make sure they're not overheating when they're charging or getting puffy. If any of these things happen, you want to unplug the batteries immediately and take them outside, just in case anything goes wrong. Now while we've got these ones charging, let's take a look at a single port charger. This is another battery charger we recommend in the course. It's an HTRC, but it's only a single port charger. This one requires an external DC power supply. So you plug that in and it turns on. But even though it's a single port charger, you can still charge multiple batteries on it with the use of a balance board. We're going to go over how to use this really quick. Now when charging more than one battery on a balance board, you want to make sure that the voltages are more or less the same. To do this, you can use a battery cell checker like this. So we're going to go ahead and plug these in and check the voltages. So both of these batteries are within 0.2 volts of each other, so they're safe to charge together. Alright, to plug in the balance board, we're going to need the adapter cable that comes with the charger. We're going to plug it in, black to black, red to red, and then we'll take the balance lead on the balance board and plug it into the 6S port on the charger. And then we'll take the main power lead from the balance board and plug it into the XT60 connector. Alright, in this example, we're going to be charging two 1550 milliamp batteries. Now when you're using a balance board, it's good to have matching milliamp ratings on the batteries. You can have a little bit of deviation, like it would be okay to charge a 1550 and a 1500, but you want them to be as close as possible. Now, since these are 4S batteries, we need to make sure we plug it into the right port on the balance board. You can see each port is labeled with 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, and 6S. You do not want to plug in a 4S battery to the 5S plug, because if you plug in more than one battery, it'll cause a short and possibly start a fire. On the balance board, you've got 6 different sections for 6 different batteries to be plugged in. Since we're only charging 2 batteries, we're only going to be using these 2 sections right here. So to plug them in, you can plug in the main power lead first, and make sure you plug in the 4S lead to the 4S port. Now that we've got our batteries plugged in, we need to set the charger settings. On this particular charger, you've still got 4 buttons, much like the other charger. You've got your stop, your start or enter, and then your selector buttons. So we want to select the lithium battery, and we want to go to LiPo balance. Now if we were only charging one battery, we would set the charge rate to 1.5 for the 1550s. But since you're charging 2 1550s, you can technically double it and set the charge rate at 3.1. I like to be a little bit on the safe side, so I'm going to set the charge rate to 2.5 amps. So with that set, you can push and hold enter. It'll perform a battery check, and then you hit enter to confirm. And just like on the other charger, you can hit over to see the cell voltage. Now in this case, we see there's only 4 voltages displayed. That's because both batteries are essentially connected together, and that's one of the reasons why we need both batteries to be more or less the same voltage when we plug them in. You don't want to plug in a fully charged battery and a discharged battery, because the voltage difference will cause current to flow from the charged battery into the discharged battery. Now, battery charging can be a little bit tricky, but the more you use it, the more you get used to it. So don't let it hold you up. If you get confused or need more information, go back and watch our video on battery charging. Now, say you have your batteries charged up, but you're not going to be going flying for a few days. You're going to want to put your batteries into a storage charge. If the battery is stored at full charge, the chemicals eventually start to break down inside the battery. So putting them in a storage charge helps prevent that from happening. So I'll show you how to do that really quick on the charger. Now to put it into a storage charge, you can use the balance board and just plug one battery in, or you can plug the battery directly into the charger like this. Just make sure you plug the 4S balance lead into the 4S port. In the menu, we'll go over to LiPo storage charge and set the amperage to 1.5. Push and hold enter, hit enter again to confirm. Now since this battery is fully charged, it's going to start discharging the battery down to about 3.8 volts per cell. And at 3.8 volts per cell, that's considered a storage charge. And that's where the battery chemistry will remain stable for a long period. Now technically, because this is in the discharge state mode, setting the amperage in the previous screen won't really change anything. This charger is only capable of discharging a battery at a 0.5 amp rate, so you don't really need to worry about setting the discharge rate. It's always going to discharge at 0.6 or 0.5 amps. Alright, really quick, we're going to go over how to do a storage charge on the dual port charger. Now here I've got my 6S battery plugged in, and I know it's discharged because I flew with it today, so I want to put it at a storage charge. To do this, we'll scroll through the menu over to LiPo storage, and I want to set that charge rate to 1.5 amps. Now if it's a fully charged battery, it's still a good idea to set the charge rate correctly. So in this case, since it's a 1500 milliamp battery, I'm setting it at 1.5 amps. To start the storage charge, we simply push and hold enter, then once more to confirm, and now the battery will charge at 1.5 amps, and generally a storage charge is always going to be around 3.8 volts per cell. And now let's go over to the 1300 milliamp battery. We'll put it at storage charge as well. So we'll go over to storage charge, and check the charge rate, 1300, so 1.3 amps. Push and hold enter, and now both batteries are storage charging. And you'll notice, since the 6S battery was discharged, it's charging it up to 3.8 volts. And the 1300 milliamp battery was a little bit higher than 3.8 volts per cell, so it's actually discharging. So those are the basics on how to operate the HTRC chargers.
If you enjoyed this video on FPV, we actually have an entire online course developed around these same types of lessons. We're talking dozens of lessons and hours of material designed to get you started into FPV or make you a better pilot. It is the world's first online FPV course, and we have students from around the world learning through it. The link to learn more is in the comments below. And as always, if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know, and have fun flying.